Hi, welcome to the Small Shed. This week we're back on the Community Bookcase. See you in a minute. Now, I was just looking back at the old videos, and it was October last year when I was working on this Community Bookcase. So it's been quite badly delayed by the time when my wife went into hospital and I stopped doing anything in the shed. And it's taken a while to catch up and get back into the swing of things. But we're there now. Time to make a start on it again. So the starting point for this was a coffee table which had come into Men in Shed's shed ostensibly for repair, but it was certainly beyond any sort of reasonable repair. So I've just taken it apart to get hold of some of the timber out of it, and while I was doing that it just struck me that it was probably suitable to make a door out of. But as it happens, I've been reusing some of this coffee table. So I've now got the timber for the door, which we will take home and do up on the router table, I think. I've used a couple of the pieces of beech that we had off the ping pong table the other day to make a French cleat, which will go on the wall behind it, and there'll be a French cleat at the top, and then it will just screw through onto a bear at the bottom as well. That way. Okay, so it's time to do some joints on the frame for the door. I want to do a halved joint on the frame, but at the top I want to make it so that there's only about that much of a joint, so that the top rail is consistent all the way across, and that is, the rest of it is housed inside there. So I'll see how I get on with that. First thing to do is to get the router table set up. I just want to get it so that I can cut a rebate about halfway through. I'm going slightly under at the moment, so that it should give me a bit of room to just creep up on it with finishing cuts. But at the moment I want to take like 11 millimeters out of what should be 12 altogether. That's got me halfway there. It's just a matter of taking it really slowly, I think, and not trying to be too greedy with the cut. And then what I'll do then is to do the half housing in there. Now the problem is, of course, with this, that I've got a curved head. So at the top part, this is the bottom at the moment, top part I'll do the same thing, but then I'll just mark this with a pencil, scribe in the shape, and then I'll just chisel that remaining part out to suit. And now for the other half of the joint, I've got to restrict the depth to about half. So I'm going to just go up to that point there with the router, and that should get me the pocket about the right shape. That's got me the rough shape of the other half of the housing joint. Again, it's smaller than it needs to be, and we can get that all tidied up once the whole thing is got most of the bulk out of it, taking finer cuts, and it'll be much easier to do that. It's got the other half done, so at the moment now I've got something which is not quite deep enough on both sides, which is what I wanted, but which will do that with the joint. You can see where I'm coming from on that one, so that the bottom and top rails have some integrity right the way to the edge. Now I've got the parts done for the frame. There's a couple of things I need to do then. One is to knock out a rebate on the back for a glazing bead, or a glazing rebate. That should be fairly straightforward. The other thing is I want to try and get somewhere close to getting this little bead detail running through the top and bottom rails at the side. And the best I can come up with at the moment, because it's so fine, is one of the little CNC bits that I've got, which are tiny. They're run on I think it's about a 3mm, 2 or 3mm shaft. Just put an adapter collet in there, and I'm just going to put a tiny little groove all the way down the bits that need it. Right, that's just wound the V bit up to the depth that it is on the main pieces, and it's in the right position with the fence set. Anchor that down, and in theory now, if I go in with that sideways on, I can do the same repeat sort of depth and position. Right, that's got me something that I can work from. It needs rounding over, which we can do with sandpaper and things, but that's got the representation of the groove, which we then... It's funny, one of the most used bits of kit I have in here that I keep having to take back into the house because it belongs in there are the old compasses that I've used and had for years. That's it, just marked on the curve of the top piece, and so I'll just take that out now with a mixture of file and chisel. Start getting there. That's got the frame pretty much ready now to glue up. The other thing I've done, I've taken a rebate out for the polycarbonate on the inside, and rather than put a big rebate with glazing beads, it's probably going to keep more strength in the whole thing if I just put a very shallow rebate like that, which is basically only the size of the polycarbonate or the thickness of it. And then that in itself, when it's screwed into the frame, will help make the whole thing rigid. Right, I've just done some oak for a bench in this Osmo UV Protection Oil. I'm just going to do the same stuff on the Community Bookcase, because again it's going to be outside, putting up with the weather. So 2 coats of this stuff should give us a good bit of protection. second coat is going on, and it seems to have brought a deeper richness to the wood, so that's coming out quite well. Just gave it a quick rub over first with a bit of 600, 500 grit, something like that, which just took any nibs off. But this second coat seems to have given it a little bit more than the first coat did. I've got a couple of hinges for the door, just going to mark those out and fit, so that it's a relatively straightforward job then just to put them on the front when I'm back at the shed. And finally I'm just putting the polycarbonate in. I'm not sure yet whether it would ever need a mastic seal or not to bed it in, but at the moment I'm just going to screw it in loose and we'll see how it goes from there. But that's it now, the hinges are on, glass is in, ready to take and hang at the back at the shed. Okay, so that's the door finished to the community bookcase. Just needs screwing on, as I mentioned, and some sort of a catch. I'm not quite sure what to do yet with that. I think a magnetic catch will probably be the best, bearing in mind this is going to be outside and subject to being blown around by the wind if it's left open, so I want something that'll just positively catch it when it does shut. So that's about it for this week. All I can do now, as I say, is take it down to the shed, do the final assembly and coat of Osmo on the outside of the bookcase itself, and hopefully run all that in together with an episode that will show it being put up and finished as well. So hope that was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be doing something different. I'll see you then. Bye.